freedom of speech, the most precious thing we have, our First Amendment, you know, that and our Second Amendment, really the only core reasons why we're the freest country in the world, why we're still hanging on by a thread as these global leaders are trying to take that away from us. But it is very much under attack. Look what's happening in Europe. Look what's happening in Canada. There's this legislation coming out that's altering search results, that's censoring what people could say online, that's giving the government the right to potentially invade your house and put you under arrest for having certain things on your internet that they consider hate speech.
An Comisiún is calling for those who see hate speech or other illegal content online to report it to the platforms or to An Garda Síochána. This is important, but even more so important in next year. So, because once An Comisiún is fully operational next year, people will be able to report to them directly if they think a platform has ignored or wrongly rejected their complaint. And these reports can then be used by Comisiún Naman to decide where to focus their oversight and investigations and ultimately their enforcement action.
So check it out. I gotta show you what these global leaders are saying about this right now and like where the direction of things are going, because Europe is a good case study for what's coming down the road, what they're going to attempt on America. So here's Al Gore, somebody that there's a lot of weird stuff around that I'm going to go into someday. Now here's what he's saying about how he thinks about the internet. He misses the good old days where the world leaders can control how information is dispersed. So look at what he has to say.
These algorithms, they are the digital equivalent of AR-15s. They ought to be banned.
He thinks that algorithms are the modern day AR-15. He doesn't like the concept of being able to look at the opposing narrative of what he's pushing and go down that rabbit hole. He wants to change that. He wants to ban algorithms and pretty much control search results, and that goes into what this next person's talking about. So this is the UN Undersecretary General for Global Communications, and look at what she says about what they did with search results.
We partnered with Google, for example. If you Google climate change, you will, at the top of your search, you will get all kinds of UN resources. We started this partnership when we were shocked to see that when we Googled climate change, we were getting incredibly distorted information right at the top. So we're becoming much more proactive. We own the science, and we think that the world should know it.
We control the science. They feel they have the right to put what information they want to put as the top search result for Google, and test it out. Type in what she said right there, because I'm not going to say it because, this might get flagged because YouTube's really sensitive about it, but type in what she said and watch. It does pop up. I tested it out. And it's a little bit different on DuckDuckGo for Google, but still, same thing. So very powerful stuff they're doing. They're hiding information and pushing information up that they want you to see. This next person's head of CISIA, the Cybersecurity Critical Infrastructure Agency, and check out what she has to say. It's pretty creepy.
The most important critical infrastructure there is our cognitive infrastructure. And so building that resilience is, part of the mission set, in my view.
So do you see the degree to which these people want to control and influence your mind, what you're thinking? I mean, my God, who do they think they are? Now, to show you the sense of entitlement that's happening here, look at what this politician from Ireland is saying. This is from a few months ago when these protests were happening, because they're trying to do the same thing in Ireland that they were doing in Europe with the, hate speech censorship online.
When you think about it, all law, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom. That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good. You will see throughout our Constitution, yes, you have rights, but they are restricted for the common good. Everything needs to be balanced. And if your views on other people's identities go to make their lives unsafe, insecure, and cause them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace, then I believe that it is our job as legislators to restrict those freedoms for the common good.
She said all law is about the restriction of freedom. So that's how these people are thinking. And whether or not our politicians in the US say it, that's what they think too for the most part. And that's why it drives me crazy when I talk to people about politics and they say, oh yeah, I don't really follow politics. It doesn't really affect me much. I don't vote. I don't pay attention. All right, what do you mean you don't pay attention? Do you care one bit about your way of life and your freedom? I mean, all those things will go away very quickly if we lose these rights, especially our First and Second Amendment. The only reason that we have the freedom that we have is because of those two things. Because we could say what we want and we have the right to bear arms. Look at what happens to any country that loses those rights. If you lose the second one, the first one goes away right away. Any country that's banned the right to bear arms, mass genocide and silencing and censorship. Disgusting, horrible stuff. You do not want to be there. Guys, so closing thoughts, there's nothing more precious than our freedom of speech. That's why we're the freest country in the world. But Europe is a canary in a coal mine. Canada's canary in a coal mine. They're losing their freedom of speech. It's a terrible thing. Look at what's happening with them. We cannot let that happen here. We're the last place in the world where we have freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms, and that's why we're the greatest place in the world still. Even though powerful people are trying to stop that, we cannot let that happen. I don't think we will. This is definitely something we have to all be conscious of and oppose vehemently. Cannot let this right go. That's what I have to say today. God bless.